Hello, good evening. Right, let's get back to it. I have a couple of updates to share with you. I've been busy working on some projects. I haven't really worked on spatial priorities. Well, I worked on spatial priorities after the stream on Tuesday. Sorry, what's going on? I worked on spatial priorities after the stream. Sorry, that was with my fiance coming in and apparently not realizing that I was streaming and thinking I was talking to her or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. She didn't have anything to say. So what I worked on is we had these numbers and I was doing it with like overdrawing and it never really turned out nice. So I figured, well, let's just get some icons for them and do it that way. So I've been working on that a little bit more. I got 5 icons. These are the Google material rounded icons, if I remember correctly. Change the colors a little bit of the priorities and change the icons when you're designating them a little bit so that they also reflect that. And I ran into a little bit of an issue while I was doing the preview, because I was thinking like I need to have a better preview on Steam. Have like a little GIF to see what the difference is between how it normally works and how it works with spatial priorities active. And that didn't work for some reason. So I had them assigned to 2 zones, like one on the top zone where there were no priorities and one in the bottom zone where I had set up priorities, and then I wanted to let them do hauling, but they didn't want to do hauling. So I'm a little bit confused what happened there. Like, is that because it was maybe an already existing save game? Is that because it doesn't work if you have it in priorities or in like allowed zones? Do priority zones and allowed zones not work together nicely? I have no idea. So I just want to do like a quick sanity check now to see that it actually works normally. Yeah, so this is working. And they're going to do everything else, and then finally they're going to do the low priority zone. So what happens if I tell them, like, you're only allowed to be in this area? Because that's what I did before as well. I had everything in the area, like the stockpile, the stuff that we're going to get stuff from was all in an allowed area, so that wasn't the problem. And then we need to spawn in some new stuff for them to haul. Doesn't matter, that was a small stack, but and it really doesn't matter what we give them to haul. Let's just put a bunch of beer down there. At least they can have a party later. Right, so that's roughly spread out over the areas. Let's see if that still works. That does still work. All right, now I'm just terribly confused. All right, now it stopped working because my stockpile is full. Oh wait, they're not restricted. What if I restrict them? Yeah. Yeah, you see? They're restricted to an area and they won't haul anymore. Even though that area covers at least part of the... Okay. So there's a problem with that then. That's good to know. We can have a look at that, see what's going on there. That's a fairly major problem. I'm surprised nobody's talked about them. So overall reception has been great. Got about 6,000 people looking at it, about 1,000 subscribers, or 860. I'm really annoyed with the current state of the description, so I need to fix that. The problem with that is that this is auto-generated from my markdown file, so I kind of need to fix the auto-generation because I don't want to have to fix this every time. Which is just, I don't want to do that right now. We need to make some GIFs to actually tell people, explain better what is actually going on here. But it has actually reached the top 3, so this is the most popular this week, which is what people see when they open the workshop, which is usually what will get you bumped up in the popularity ladder, so to speak. It's terribly biased. It's horribly unfair on new modders, because I used to be like one of the original modders, so I had a lot of exposure already. So now whenever I put something new out there, it's relatively easy for me to reach this. Whereas for new people, it's much harder because they have no exposure to start with. And then Steam doesn't give you exposure either. It's kind of the same way that the Steam store actually works for games, but then in the microcosm of the Steam workshop, which is, yeah. It's not fair, but hey, it's good for me, right? So, I mean, it's still, like there's 2 of my mods here in the top subscribed overall ever, so that kind of explains that problem. I also worked a little bit more on the Huxlib parsing I was looking at. I actually worked in it to the extent that I'm now getting GitHub is I think it's rate limiting me, and it didn't used to do that before, but I'm getting e-connection refused when I'm trying to actually download the gists. So these are like the links to the test file, the text file versions of the gists. And GitHub is telling me like, no, you cannot do that. So then it kicks me off. I mean, it lets me do them like 1 a second or something, but I want to do many, many more a second. Nevertheless, I do still get like thousands of these log files I can download at a time before it crashes on me. And I've built up quite a nice database of them. So, yeah. One of the things I wanted to do with that is create like a little website that can score like different statistics about mods. So I want to get this kind of data from 3 different sources. So this is from Huxlib's reports that just tells you like, okay, how many logs were handed in with these mods. So that is kind of a sample of mods that had something to do with bugs. And it's horribly biased, and there's a lot of problems with that. And it's actually kind of an interesting statistical problem, which I might, yeah, get into a little bit, because I am a statistician in my day job. But anyway, so I have this data source. I can get the number of subscribers. I can scribe that from Steam. So I can get that data source for mods. And I also want to look at adding some telemetry to Mod Manager. I want to be open and upfront about that, so that will be opt-in and whatever, because I don't want to log things on the background for everybody. So when and if I do add that, then you'll get like a pop-up like, do you want to help me and what do you want to give me? But anyway, hopefully a sufficient number of people will also enable that, and then I can actually get some playtime statistics. And then you've got 3 different kind of statistics. You've got statistics that have something to do with errors, and maybe you can even parse the errors to get an idea of which mods are actually causing them, but that's a long shot. You've got statistics of what people are subscribing to, and you've got statistics of what people are actually playing with, which together should give you some interesting statistics. But another thing we can do with this, and that is more interesting for me at the moment, is we can look at what patches what. So I haven't created a nice layout for this yet, but if we go into our database, I do have a fairly large database of patches. So there's 172,000 patches that have been made. So these are parsed from the Huxlib log files, and the Huxlib log files have, well, I can show you actually. They show you the patch, the method that the patch is like rerouting to, and the target of the patch. So the vanilla method, or sometimes a method in another mod that has been patched. So I've parsed that stuff. I've tried to link it to a mod So it's basically try to look which mod in our mod list is most similar to the namespace there. And like 9 times out of 10, that gives you a result. Not always, but a lot of the time. I'm also keeping track of them over date. So this is like per date, how often I've seen that particular patch. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing that, but it might be useful at least just to see like, okay, which patches are actually still being used, because it could be that I'm looking at very old patches that these mods are actually not using anymore. So then at some point you do want to filter them out. But what we can do now is we can look at this target. So we can actually find any patches where the target I'm terrible at this. This is a regex. I need to do them like the wait. This is like the Mongo syntax. It's like a JSON structure. It's terrible. It's really not straightforward. But Mongo itself is a really nice database. So it's a give and take thing, right? Right. So we want to see anything that contains job giver work. Anything where the target, so this, contains that should be returned by this. Apparently I'm not doing this properly. That's going to give me an error. Right. 3 brackets. Nope. Oh yeah, wait. That way? Yeah, that seems to have worked. Right. Need to clean this up a little bit, because this is actually kind of annoying that we get the things per date now, because that would mean multiple mods will show up together and it's harder for me to go through them all separately. So let's use an aggregation pipeline. And then this will be a match object. And then we want to do a group. Do we want to do a... yeah, let's just group everything together. So the idea is what we want to group by. That would be the combination of method, mod, operator, target. Basically everything. Everything except date. I'm not sure if that's a thing we can do, but we can find out. Because normally the syntax for that kind of thing would be a minus date to keep it out. I'm pretty sure this is going to go wrong. But let's find out. We want to keep track of the count. So the count is now a sum of these counts. So when I'm when I'm referring to fields in the database, I have to use the $sign in front of it here, because otherwise it just takes the string literal count, which is obviously not what we want. And these in the when you're defining new values here for the group operator, then you can do things like sum and push and some other things, average, mean, whatever, the kind of thing. Min and max. Did I just delete that step? Oh, for fuck's sake. Should not be playing with my keyboards. Oh, this is annoying. I'm not sure I can sort it like this. Let's just try and sort it at least like this. Then that would make things a little bit easier. Apparently I can. So then at least the mods with the highest number of, well, the patches that we've seen the most would end up at the top. So in this case, that is hospitality, which is patching. It's putting a prefix on a job giver work upon can use work giver. That probably makes sense. It's putting a prefix on try issue job package. This is probably just a different date. Yeah, it is. It's more hospitality, more hospitality. I'm pretty sure prison labor also did something. But I guess hospitality is just much more popular than prison labor. And it is all hospitality, try SP job package, spawn can use work giver. Got what the heck here. Doing a postfix on spawn can use work giver. I'm just gonna write this down. Spawn can use work giver and a pre on try issue job package. And what the heck? Just doing a post on spawn can use work giver. More hospitality. Expanded roofing is doing something. Is doing a transpiler on try issue job package. Ouch. Okay. More what the heck, more expanded roofing. There we go. I see a prison labor popping up, but what the heck? That's the post giver again. Oh, sorry, the post giver, the pawn can use work giver again. Hospitality. Prison labor is transpiling as well on try issue job package. Transpiling try issue job package. Expanded roofing again, transpiling the same thing. Prison labor transpiling it again. Prison labor, what the heck? Tenants. Yeah, that's basically hospitality though, isn't it? Okay, I've seen it very shortly. Either way, it's doing a prefix on pumpkin use work giver. The reason why we care about all of these is that this job giver work, we're replacing it. We're replacing it with our own version. Which means that all of the patches these people apply are no longer valid, or at least they're just not used. With the exception, I guess, because we are subclassing it, so it is possible that we still use the base methods for these because we've never actually implemented them on our own class. So I think that would then still use these, which would mean that we are actually, that we only have to look at patches on methods that we've implemented ourselves, so that we've overridden ourselves. In which case we only really care about try issue job package and has job on pawn or on things, I think. But we can have a look and see what happens. Let's go through one or two more pages of this just to see if we haven't missed anything. It's more prison labor. It's the try-issue job package transpiler. A postfix on pumpkin use. Yeah, we already had that. The prefix on tenants. Mining priority is doing something. It's a transpiler on try-issue job package. All right. Right. Last one, tenants, the prefix, we already had that. Tenant roofing, what the heck, prison labor. Prison, this person has actually already called it outdated. So one of the funny things that you get with this is that Huxlib actually shows you the mod name that people would, that it has on people's systems, so not necessarily like the identifier or something. So sometimes you get really silly names for it. Apparently people also make like placeholder mods to sort their mod list. So there's a couple of mods in these lists that are just named like dash 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 quality of life mods dash 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 dash, and I presume that these are just empty folders and empty mods. I have no way to check, but it's interesting to see what people are doing. Right. Mining priority again, transpiler on that one. Tenants, prison labor. Ooh. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so Dubs Analyzer is doing something with it. And I think these are just different versions, because I remember seeing this mod a lot in different names. So it's gone through a couple of iterations where he renamed the assembly and stuff like that. So Dubs is doing a pre and post on try issue job package. I'm assuming those are just timers. And there was something with vampires. Prison labor, vampires. I swear I saw vampires in here. There we go. I have no idea what this is. Because this is clearly... This is targeting some kind of weird override as well. So I'm not sure if they're then also overriding this. Maybe they are, which might be an issue. We'll have to find out. We'll have a look at that as well. So that's Rim of Madness. Vampires is doing a post possibly on try give job. Is that even still a thing? Don't remember seeing that particular one, but maybe. So So if we look at job giver work, yeah, this is the thing. This is try issue job package. Try give job, I don't think is actually a thing. But maybe it's on the think node. That's entirely possible. No, it's also try issue job package. I think that's from an ancient version of RimWorld, to be honest. Because this is just a classing from object, so this is the base or the parent, whatever, highest level, lowest level. Just depends on how you look at it. Like the original think node. Okay. Well, I'll leave it on the list, but that's a weird one. I don't think we'll need to do anything about that. Okay, so let's just start from the top. On hospitality, pre-patches on PON can use workgiver and try issue job package. Oh, by the way, this obviously what I'm doing now is just going directly into a database, and that's not terribly useful. I am planning on also exposing that on a little website, so you can just make your own query and look for it. And also, I want to try do a Reddit bot. No, sorry, not a Reddit bot, a Discord bot for that one. Because I tweaked a little bit with the Reddit bot before for the mod searching, and I figured I can do a Discord bot for this, which might be very interesting and useful for well, mod developers, because it's often you need to know like which other mods are patching this, and it could be good info to know like, okay, who's possibly going to compete, or I guess I shouldn't call it compete, but conflict with what I'm doing in my mod. Weird question, possibly, but I see that I have some viewers and nobody said anything in the chat room, but I'm also using a different way to look at my chat than I normally do. So I'm a little bit concerned that my chat viewer isn't working and I'm missing messages. Could somebody say something just to confirm for me that this is what? Yes, good. I haven't seen anything. Thank you. It is working. Hi there, fish brains. Good to see you. Right. So this is our version of job giver work. In it, we are overriding potential targets, potential things, potential cells. Are we? No, that's actually not an override. That's our own methods. Is there a special icon for overrides here? I don't think there is. I guess it's just these. Huh, I was expecting there to be a special icon for it, but alright. Wait, what? That is not... No. Is that not a virtual? Oh gosh, that is not a virtual. How interesting. How ridiculous. Alright, well that means that we don't even have to find out if we have to use like a different version of it, or a different... like if we have to worry about people patching it, because we would be using the base implementation of it, because we are literally using the base implementation of it. That's all this does. It's just getting the method info for this, and then just calling that and returning that. So this is just looping it through. Nothing special there. I don't... Do I have to do that? I mean, I'm subclassing this class. I have this method. It's just I can't override it. I can't change it, but I'm not trying to change it. I guess I'm using it somewhere. Yeah. Alright. Fair. Let's just leave it. Yeah. Yeah, and that is private. Can you set it to just call the base method? Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. It's just that it's a private one, so I have to go through it with reflection. I was wondering if I have to do it at all, because I didn't think that I was actually going to have to use it myself. It's mostly called from game code, not necessarily from my mods code, but apparently it is. So I do need a way to access this function, and then I might as well have this little function here. It's just a copy of the same function again, which calls the base function. Because the base function is private. You would expect it to at least be protected, but it's private. It's old. Some parts of the game, like there's no public API or anything. It's like most of it is just public. But then randomly, sometimes things are private again. And there's like no rhyme or logic to what is private, what is protected, or what is public. Yeah, I think everybody who's modded RimWorld has noticed that. And I mean, to be fair, if you you can actually message Tynan or one of the other developers on the forum and ask them, like, is there a reason this is private, or could you make it unprivate? And then 9 times out of 10 on the next patch, it is actually suddenly not private anymore. So that's nice, but it's kind of annoying because you normally don't want to wait until that. Anyway. Which means that we can, for now at least, as long as we're using the base version, we can cross anything that messes with Palm can use workgiver off our list, because that we're not actually touching, so that should be compatible. Which means that hopefully, what the heck and tenants are not going to be a problem. That leaves hospitality has a prefix on try as your job package, expanded roofing, prison labor, mining priorities, which I'm pretty sure is going to be redundant with this mod. I'm not sure what it does. I think I remember it also being like a thing where you can assign priorities to mining. But it could be based on the value of the metal, in which case they're doing it wrong. Yeah, but let's not get into that. Because if that is the case, then they should be just using the prioritized flag on the workgiver, and then assigning a priority based on the value of the metal in the, whatever. Doesn't matter. So we've shortened our list a little bit. Let's look at hospitality first. I know that code is, I think at least that code is on GitHub. So we should be able to look at what the patch actually does, if it's important, and what we can do about it. Hospitality. Who did that? I should know. I know this. Is that Dubwise or is that Hugs as well? Orion. Okay. We found there. That goes to something else. That goes to something else. There we go. This goes to GitHub. He's also got a fair amount of issues. And he's got a Patreon. Interesting. I've thought about that. I'm still not sure about it. It's yeah, it's you're creating a like a dependency relationship with people who support you, because then you also have like it's like an obligation to actually deliver some sort of content or something entertaining. I don't really want to go there. On the other hand, it would be nice to get a little bit of income out of this kind of thing. Although some people have been incredibly generous on just giving Ko-fi donations. So I do have a Ko-fi page where people can just give like one-shot donations, which is always, yeah, it's nice. It allows people to give me a donation. Not that I'm doing this for donations or anything, but people had been asking about it, and it also makes me feel like, okay, this is just something you're giving me as a sign of appreciation, and not because you expect me to do something in the future. Or at least that's what I tell myself. All right, anyway. So this is the code for hospitality. And I'm just quickly seeing if I can find where he's got his patches set up. Oh, that's probably it. Harmony. Oh, goody, he's got a lot. I guess that was to be expected. All right, so the idea here is that it allows guests to do work they enjoy and are reasonably good at. Sure. But that is the spontaneous work giver, and we don't care about that one. What we care about is this one. Try as your job package. Make sure they have work settings priorities before they attempt to do work. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what this is it's not doing anything with the actual result of the the priority thing, or the try as your job package. This is really only just used as a trigger to make sure that any POM that is trying to do work has priority set up. Because apparently there's no other way to give them to the POM, and this just ensures that they have it and they don't turn into errors. Which presumably means that if we were to install hospitality now, because we override this job giver, then this trigger would never fire, and we would actually see some errors because guests would not have their work settings set up. So let's give it a shot. We're looking for hospitality. Right. Now I just really hope hospitality has some debug things built in. Are these incidents? Happy guest joins. I guess that is hospitality, but oh, for crying out loud, how are we going to debug this? Does it matter? I guess we can just replicate the behavior. Alright, I think I'm gonna put out like a call for help for this kind of stuff, because I can't debug this without a save game. I don't really have the time or the motivation to actually build up a colony just to test that, like this kind of situation. So I need basically a save game. So if any of you has like a fairly basic save game with hospitality running, please do let me know, because we could use that. Like get the same set of mods and see what happens when we add spatial priorities with hospitality. But preferably like as few other mods as possible. But yeah, either way, this one should be fairly easy to fix, because what we would want to do is basically supply Orion with a copy of this patch. That just that this exact same patch also gets applied to our version of try issue job package. So I think we can just basically copy that and do it with our target as well. I think. Well, yeah, I'm definitely sure that will work. I'm not sure how many precautions we need to take in order to not make it error when my mod isn't there. Because I wouldn't want to like insert a hard dependency on spatial priorities in hospitality. That seems a little bit of a tough ask. But it would be nice to have a patch in there. Can you spawn guests? I didn't even look at that. I mean, presumably that's all I need. I don't know what other checks there are. I can look at it, but I could just spawn guests. Guest. No, I can't spawn guests. Do you know how you can spawn guests? Incident, or they're called visitors. Dang, I was looking at it, but oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that is it. So we have now one jailbird visiting us, who is cloud watching. Does not like enough of our colonists. This is new. This has changed. Cool. So how would we even give them priorities? I mean, right. There's a guest tab now. It's got several things. I can choose to entertain them, make friends. We can see their hospitality level. This takes us to them, which is kind of, isn't that what this one does already? Interesting. Yeah, that does work. I just have no idea how to force them to do things. Like, so he likes to do cooking, theoretically. So if I create some cooking jobs, is he going to do some cooking for me? Lock them in a room. That's a good suggestion. Just plop down a room around him. Give him some cooking to do in there. And he can also start doing some roofing, I guess, if he wanted to. So production, we'll give him a cook, a stove, Well, let's give him a fire because I don't have the fuel to do that there. So he can do it on a campfire. Add some bills on there. You're gonna cook me some simple meals. Yeah, true. You know, I never actually, like, I don't usually make many of these like mods that actually have a gameplay, like interactions and stuff, which makes it a lot easier to test. I usually just have to look like, oh, does the UI look alright? I don't have to play with all these annoying pawns and make them do things and things. Place me some stacks of berries. You can make berries into food, right? And I think you're gonna need a stockpile because you buggers don't do anything if you don't have a stockpile. Are you going to work for me, Hannah? When you're done sleeping, lazy bugger. Okay, we've hospitality is giving a lot of debug stuff. Not sure if that's an error or if we've managed to trigger that somehow. Post spawn. Yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake, Hannah. This is what I mean. So now I'm sitting here, just waiting for him to sleep up and do something. What are you doing? Resting. You should be rested. Oh, oh, oh. Ooh. Did he eat it? No, yeah, he's not actually working. Wandering, relaxing, wandering. I did set the bills up in here, right? Yeah. So you are theoretically able to do that. I'm not allowed to give you orders. Can I? I can probably make you super happy though. I know I can do this. Is it mental state? No. Yeah, I can give him good thoughts, but I think I can also just like manipulate his needs. Yeah, just give him good thoughts, I guess. That skill, this is just to lower it. You can't up it, apparently. Alright. Do I need to do that multiple times? Are you happy now? Yay, you're very happy. Are you now going to help me? Still relaxing socially. Oh, he did it. Interesting. I'll add this to my to-do list to ask Orion about this because I don't know why this worked. Maybe the prefix on try your job package is actually just like a sanity check to make sure it's there, and it should have been already put in there by something else. Because I probably would do this on like the spawn methods. That seems to make more sense than rather than doing it on the try your job package. Either way. So this doesn't seem to be a huge problem, at least. Either it already works or it should be really straightforward to make it work. So that's nice. Let's look at expanded roofing. Ooh, I've been bumped up to first spot. Nice. I'm assuming this is the one. Yeah, it's even got the Harmony logo on it. Do you have a GitHub? You do have a GitHub. Amazeballs. This is one of the reasons why I love it when people have a GitHub and some people don't. Which always annoys me to no end. This is somebody's version of a release script. Nice. Harmony patches. Oh god, he's got a transpile helper. That can't bode well. Oh gosh. He was patching try issue job package. Can't find that in here. There we go. It's hidden away. So how does that work again? This is patch and then it's transpile prefix postfix or something. That's what the nulls are. And we're doing fix finish frame build order transpiler. That's what you're actually throwing on there. Which is this one. He's creating an actual separate Harmony instance for that. That seems like overkill. I am in expanded roofing. I want to be in expanded roofing. I'm looking at expanded roofing. I need to ask Orion for like how this works. I'm not going to go through all of hospitality to figure out how it works because it seems to work already without me doing anything. So yeah. I just wanted to look at what expanded roofing is doing now in the transpiler there. And it looks like what he's doing is he's specifically targeting this closest thing reachable and wrapping it with something else. And that wrapper does, if it's looking for building frame, then I'm pretty sure this is actually what he's changing. Alright, this would be slightly more interesting because I'm not actually using this function at all anymore, like this closest thing reachable. I think, well, I am using it, but not in that method. So this is my try issue job package function. And I use helpers to get me the possible jobs, basically. So it's creating the batches. This is get job from batch. So this is where I'm actually getting all of potential targets. And much later, I'm actually looking at closest thing reachable. I want to see where it actually used this in like the normal way now, because I don't remember it using that at all. So this is closest thing, this is closest thing global reachable, and we're looking at closest thing reachable, right? So this one, this is where it would normally be used. So this is yeah. So it's just trying to find the closest possible target. That doesn't make any sense for roofing though. So weird. Because roofing uses prioritized method. I guess within the priorities, it can still look at that. But it uses prioritized to make sure that you're building like from the walls into the center, and you're not just building a free floating bit of roof without any support, because that would collapse, or it would at least not make any sense. All right. Well, that needs to have some kind of fixing. But again, that shouldn't be a terribly important problem. Person labor is going to be a funny one. American spelling. Right. That should do the trick. So the releases. Please tell me you have your source code here as well. Yep. Some people just have the releases on GitHub. It's like, why? Jesus Christ. Okay. Don't immediately see it. But that is why search is so helpful. So this is in labor area. Interesting. And they're also doing their own job giver labor. So job giver is it's a think node, and a think node means that it's a part of the AI tree for a POM. So the AI tree is just it's literally a tree with nodes on it, and then you sometimes splits up and has different priorities and stuff like that. So that's how the AI is built up. I'm not going into detail about that, but there's nodes in there for like getting sleep, running away from danger, talking to people, all that kind of stuff, like the social interactions, the non-work things, and then one of the nodes is for actually doing work. It's fairly low on the priority list, which is why bonds never seem to be doing any work when they need to be. So what's surprising me slightly is that he's implemented his own job giver there. So that would suggest that he's created this for prisoners, and he's adding this into the prisoner table. And then here, like, this is basically a copy, if not literally a copy, of, yeah, this is literally a copy of the normal job giver work. Yeah. And this is then specialized for prisoners. And you should make sure that he's not a colonist here, because this is, colonists are now allowed to do this thing, but whatever, I'm not going to. So what is he doing in the actual, because there was another result for the actual patch, presumably, this one. The hell? Oh wow, he's actually specifying the Gosh, the parameters of the method, as if it had an override. You don't need to do that, but whatever. So this is his transpiler. Okay. Okay. The hell is this doing? Okay. And scanner has job on cell and add is disabled by labor. Okay. So what he's trying to do Interesting. So he's got, this is basically his setup for trying to find the location where he wants to do something. He doesn't actually explain what he's doing there, but he's creating a predicate apparently. And then on this side, there's another series of instructions, and here he explains what he wants to do, and that is add, add just to check that this pawn is not disabled by labor, or this job is not disabled by labor. And I'm assuming that labor in this case means printer labor or something. But we should be able to find whatever this is. And then there's also a create predicate method here. Yeah, okay, that's this one again. Okay. Alright, so both cases revolve around this, and I'm assuming this is going to be a fairly simple helper function. Yeah, that one. Line 51. Get area labor is not now works in a group disabled of that. I don't think you should have to do this one in there, because that should be handled by earlier steps. But what he's doing is basically saying that, okay, this work is within the labor area. As far as I can see, that's all that's happening there. Again, shouldn't be a giant issue. I'm gonna leave Dub's analyzer because that's just a utility thing. I don't think that's terribly important. That leaves us with mining priorities that I want to check. And we still need to figure out why it's not working when you have when you restrict ponds to areas. Yeah, so mine valuable ores before turning through rock. Yeah, you should really be using the prioritized. Okay. Right, there's a lot of things going on there. I would like to figure out at some point why he's going this route and not using the prioritized method, but I guess it doesn't matter terribly much. Wait, what? I don't even want to know what that is. Yeah, so it's assuming patch all. That's not entirely interesting. I don't see an obvious reference to the try issue job package method. There it is. I was in there, wasn't I? Yeah. Just didn't look far enough. Yeah, this feels so right. Mac has a problem with the above patch, and I have no idea why. Yeah, that sounds like something that could have happened to me. Other property patches and you get palm down are the problems. Instead of transpiling the calls prioritized. Yeah. Just two exist in the same function, and this will be a problem if there are more calls to prioritize added. Right. So what he is actually using the prioritized thing. I just expected that to be much simpler because apparently it's more than I thought it was, which is usually the case, but whatever. I forget what this operator is. This is some kind of bitwise thing, if I remember correctly. I'm sure we can find that on Google, right? It's not at all going to be annoying about it. There we go. Yeah, so it's bitwise OR, which is kind of what I thought. Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, where were we? There we were. What it does is basically say result is result or this one or that one. So it's prioritized either if the original function returned prioritized, or if it's a priority mining, or if it's continue work. Not sure what that means, but whatever. So yeah, so this is just returning 3 different versions of yes, indeed, prioritized. Okay, that's it. And what he wanted to do is do it on the actual getter, which makes much more sense, to be fair. But apparently that didn't work. I'm assuming that didn't work because it's too small and it got inlined. You know what my problem with it is? Is you're using like a high-tech surgical equipment set, i.e. Harmony, to do something that you could have just done with like a chopper. You could have just replaced the workgiver. There's no reason for workgiver miner to exist if you can just insert your own and override the priority on it. Because all you'd have to do is you can leave the entire workgiver miner intact, override it, or like implement your subclass, override prioritized and get priority. Those 2 methods. Then get priority does all of your logic with like doing the precious metals and everything, and the override handles everything else. I am almost convinced that should work. And you don't have to go into all of these complicated Harmony patches. Either way, this is patching a call to prioritized. What do you guys think we should do? Should we ask them to see like how can we work around this? Should we ask their input and wait for that? And then I'll just have to write some messages later. Or should we try and create some pull requests for them with like our solution of how it works, or how it's probably going to work? But that runs the risk of completely misunderstanding what is actually happening and basically doing work for nothing. I'm leaning towards just asking them what's going on. 1 second, I'll be right back. Right, sorry about that. Had a minor home emergency. Did anybody have any thoughts about, should we ask other modders what their opinions are on how we can fix the problems with that? Or what they actually intended to do with the patches so that we have an idea on how to fix it? Or should we just try to fix it ourselves? Anybody? All right, well then I'm going to, yeah, I'm just going to ask them, and because that's what I was leaning forward and toward anyway. I think prison labor has a lot of conflict, so fixing stuff on their end might work for more than just your mod. Yeah, but I'm not going to fix everything for them. I would just like, they have this specific patch that I was looking at. And that's basically everything I would do. So like they have a transpiler on try issue job package. Just to see if the job is actually in an area they want it to be. I would just add that to my version of it, basically. That's all I'm gonna do. And I barely have the time and motivation to fix my own mods, let alone other people's mods. So yeah. I guess we can try it for at least for prison labor and mining priorities now, because those seem to be fairly straightforward, maybe. Although they aren't actually in the methods that I'm using. I don't like this. I like it so much better when I can just do things for myself and like I don't have to work around how other people are doing things. Right, I'm just gonna let this sink in a little bit. I'm going to look at why my version is failing when pawns have areas assigned. So this is what we were looking at before. So if I assign priorities, let's say here, that's going to work fine and dandy. They're going to hold things in high priority first, then low priority, and finally in terrible low priority. Yep, that worked. But if I try to do this again, and I now assign everybody, wow, I'm terrible at this game. Assign everyone to an area, and even if the area covers everything, so we expand this allowed area, they won't do any work. Well, they will. They will occasionally a little bit. But they have put it over there. I'm so confused. They're absolutely amazed by your hospitality. Well, congratulations, dude. You're gonna be here forever. You don't have an exit. Right, lazy buggers, wake up, do more hauling. So occasionally they do a little bit of hauling, but more often than not they don't, they just idle. So I can prioritize them to do it, which is working fine. Okay, that's expected, because that's manual input, that's like prioritized work, that's a completely separate thing at the beginning of all of the code. It's like this. Then okay, if you have something, do that. But everything else should still work. Hopefully. Alright, we're just gonna have to go over all of these things and see what they actually do. Pawn can use workgiver is probably going to be related to backstory and everything, but let's have a look. So either non-colonist can do it, or this is a colonist. Yeah, sure. They have no story, or this work tag is not disabled, or this workgiver isn't saying that it should skip the pawn. Yeah, we talked about this before. They have the capacity. Okay, so this should not be the problem. This has nothing to do with areas. We can. This is can batch. This is just checking if they have the same. Yeah. So it's a type of workgiver scanner that's important because we can only batch scanners together, and we'll have to look at some point if we go into this what the difference is and how we can deal with non-scanner workgivers. But right now we're just checking if these are the same kind of priorities for the workgiver and the work type is the same. This thing we are probably going to take off at some point anyway as well, because right now we're saying that all of the like the work type priority comes first. So if you look at the normal work tab, then whatever priorities you put in there come first, then the left right order comes first. So what is it? Cleaning comes before research, cooking comes before hunting, I forget, but so if we have manual priorities, then, well, one becomes for the threes, but even these threes, like hauling goes before cleaning, art goes for crafting, even if they're in different priority areas. So there are various ways you could, where you could put it. You could say like, okay, I want to sort by this priority first, then by the natural priority, so this is the left-right order, then by the area priority, so this one, and then by the left-right order of the individual sub-jobs here, which you cannot normally see, but you can see if you use my work tab, for example. That's what we're currently doing. So this area priority is actually fairly low down. It would be entirely sensible to say instead, like, okay, we want to use this priority first, but then we want to use area priority. So everything that has a 3 here, we want to consider together in a batch. And right now we're not doing that. It could even make sense to say like, okay, everything in the high priority area must happen first. So we look at areas first and then at work settings. That's entirely... Like all of these are entirely plausible. So I will have to open that up to setting and let people handle that for themselves. And it shouldn't be too much trouble to set that up. The only thing that could potentially throw a spanner in the works is non-scanner workgivers. And I'm not entirely sure which ones that would be, to be honest. But we can have a look. Because we're looking at workgivers, and then we can look at the derived types for that. So basically that would be help gathering items for caravan and patient go to bed recuperate. Those are not scanners. Everything else is a scanner. There might be modded jobs, of course, that are not scanners either. And some of these have multiple subjobs again, like grower has multiple ones. Do bill covers so many things, it's not even funny anymore. Like this is everything that is on a bill giver, so on any work tables and whatever. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, not what we were actually looking at. Not sure what that is, but that is not related either. So here we've made the batches, we've got the potential things. This is potential work things global. Yeah, and then we're creating work targets for it. That is all not our problem, I think. So this is still creating the batches. This is the non-scam job stuff. Okay, so if we can batch it, then we continue, and so that means that we go to the next iteration and we keep batching. So if we can't batch it, then we actually continue in this block, and we try to get a job from it. And if we get a job, then great. From the last batch. Does this mean that we're throwing away a work giver? Because in this iteration, we have a work giver that we couldn't batch. Then if it's not if it's not a work giver scanner, so it's one of the other work givers that we were looking at, then we try to get a non-scan job from it. But if it is a work giver scanner, then we're starting a new batch. And no, this is fine. We're adding it to the batch. So we're redoing this section. I'm sure there's a more logical way we could set this up, but this does seem to work. Right, and if we drop out of this, then it means that we were in the last batch, and we can try to get a job from that. All right. So this all seems to be fine. I don't see anything about areas in here, so it's probably in the get job from batch logic. So what we do there is we get all of the potential targets from all of the work givers. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Just 1 second. Ollie. Oh. Your dog is trying to poop again. What? Excuse me. Our kitten is going to the toilet, and our dog likes kitten candies. Let's put it that way. So I just had to send them away. So yeah, we're getting all of the potential targets, which means potential things or potential cells, depending on what kind of work giver it is. Either way, this is just a wrapper around the work giver's potential work things. And if that is null, so if that returns null, then we're using the thing request. This is the same kind of logic that we have in this basic job giver work, only here it is in one giant block. So here it's checking if it has potential work things global, and if that one is null, I'm not sure why it's copying it, whatever, or making a new reference to it. But if it's null, then actually we're going to use this one, the potential work thing request. It's the same thing I'm doing. And a similar thing for potential work cells. We're casting them to work targets, which is kind of an overkill kind of thing. But this just allows me to work with jobs on things and jobs on cells interchangeably without having to create separate logic for it. Yeah, this is what we worked on last time. And this is like actually trying to get the job. So if we can get a non-scan job, then yeah, we're caching the job. So if we have to do it multiple times, we don't go over it again. If it's a non-scan job, we try to do it that way. If that didn't work, then we can see if there's a thing. If there's a thing, we can. If there's not a thing. If that is the case, then first we want to check if this is a grower work giver, because that one is annoying, and then we just get the job on the cell that we're looking at, or the potential cell that we have in our thing. And otherwise, then there must be a job on thing. This logic is kind of fucked up. What I should be checking here is if cell is not null, and here if thing is not null or something. Either way, this is what will happen, and then it will return the job. I seem to recall that there's a valid here, yeah. And I'm thinking that this might be where our problem is. So what is a local target? Right, that's just returning the cell or the thing again. All right. And that is a local target info, right? Yeah. Path and mode and traverse params are not actually all that interesting. Huh. Hmm. So this is throwing me around a little bit, because this is like the logic is reversed. I was looking at this and I was thinking, like, yeah, shouldn't this be the other way around? Like, shouldn't it be checking if it's either it's unreachable, allowing unreachable, or we can reach it, then it should return true. But that's not what it's saying here. It's we want to say that it's not valid if it is wow, damn, my head hurts. This shouldn't be so difficult. So what we're saying here is that it's the job has to be a reachability check. Oh, this is wrong. This should be this way, right? Am I being an idiot now? Oh, wrong button. Where'd you go? So I want to say if this job is not valid, if it doesn't have this flag and we cannot reach it. Yeah. Not like this. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Makes you think why it ever worked, to be honest. Like I'm 99% certain that I've just turned this logic around in my head and now nothing works anymore. But we'll find out. All right, so those errors are normal when you're deleting hospitality, because it's getting rid of some stuff in the like the knowledge database, it's like for the learning helper kind of thing. Wow, this is a cool map actually. Like you can make some kind of cave system. It's almost it's a very challenging map as well. Bit too small though. Anyway, I have a test set up that I was working with, which should now fail to work, probably. Oh, no, that's not the one I was thinking of. Yeah, just load it. Mod manager doesn't do anything. This is my parameter name source. Interesting. Alright, that's a different one as well. Alright. Nice infestation cave system. What does everybody have against caves these days? Infestations aren't that bad. Like you just put a couple of brawlers in a hallway and a couple of decent shooters behind it, and you can massacre insects. Like you got kibble for days. I like cave systems. Yeah, fire also works great, but I've always had like usually when I need to use fire, I'm still in the beginning phases of my base, and then I'm actually still using like wooden floors and stuff like that, and it's kind of scary, dangerous to do stuff like that inside a cave system if your entire base is in the same cave system, because you can end up just cooking off everything. But yeah, it is very effective otherwise, especially because everything insect made burns, like everything, the hives, the jelly, the insects, it all burns. So yeah. Anyway, do we have any priorities set up here? No, apparently not. Let's set some up there and some up there. We'll plop some hauling shit down here with the stockpile zone. And we'll need to put some things there. No, not ponds, things. Ponds are things too. Yes, I know, but that's not what I meant. Right, this is going to work. I'll just override that one. This is going to work normally. Eventually. When they stop being assigned to just that one. Finish that. And then they'll do the high priority first, then the second high priority, then everything else. Ooh, it's the mad hare again. It was this map. And they're all incredible pussies. Just attack it. It's only a rabbit. It's not from Carnagan. Is there an entomophagy trait? They should have not eating insect meat. Well, judging by your username, you certainly would be the person for it. I don't know. There are a couple of more trait mods and everything. I've never specifically seen that one though. I don't think there's even like there's the cannibal trait, I guess. So you could just basically redo that for insects. Yeah. I've like I always want to make RimWorld more like Dwarf Fortress. So there's always been like, things like the favorite color bits and like favorite foods. Those are the kind of nice touches that I would like to implement with actual good food, like with good thoughts related to them as well. It's entirely possible too. I just haven't gotten around to it. But you could actually like programmatically try to determine what the color of items are and stuff. I mean, if there's a stuff on it and stuff, then you can get it from that. But you can also just look at the texture and what like the overall color of that texture is, or what the main colors in that texture are. It's complete and utter overkill. It's probably going to tank your performance, but it would be cool. If anybody ever wondered why my mods sometimes run a little bit slowly, this is why. But it would be so cool. Yes, but it will run like shit. Doesn't matter. It's cool. Alright, anyway, that worked. Let's flip this around. Put the stockpile zone there. Delete that one. Set up an area. Area 1. Restrict everybody to area 1. See if it still works. Nah, still the same problem. They're just occasionally doing a little bit when they feel like it. Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, you can just, if you have, yeah, you can get from a texture, like you can get the pixels and stuff, so you can get the colors from that, and you can get like the main colors in a texture or something, or that should all be possible. I mean, you can do that once, you don't need to do it every single time, you just need to do it for each texture once. And then you can just see like, okay, he's in a room with a nice pink bed, and he likes pink, so therefore he is happy. That would be cool. I mean, the simpler way would be saying like, okay, this pawn likes things made of wood and or stone or metal or whatever, and then you can build it with that. And that would work very well in the same kind of mod. But yeah, ooh, might actually do that at some point. Yeah. Alright, I have no idea why this isn't working. And you can all haul, right? Well, not so much, but yeah, you just don't want to because you're an asshole. Again, it's not even that they're not doing it because they have something better to do. Because if I unassign them, they'll suddenly start doing it non-stop. Why? They need to get their priorities straight. Yeah. That's terrible. I'm really trying to find out why this isn't working. I'm not seeing it. Like, nothing jumps out to me. There's nothing. The only thing that I could see was this one. This reachability check. And we can, there's always the nuclear option. And just see what the hell happens when you do this. Right. So we'll delete that one again, make one on the other side. And let's just save this quickly to... the vape is menthol. I only do menthol these days. I used to do more flavors. And tried menthol, never looked back. It's a very strong menthol as well. It's yeah. I used to smoke, so I started vaping to try and get rid of smoking, and that actually worked. I haven't smoked in over 2 years now, and the vape is also without nicotine. I'm just doing it because I like the taste, and it's like the motion of doing it is still sort of calming. Anyway, we'll save this test again. I just want to quickly do a sanity check to see that, okay, yes, this is working when I do it like this. And when I load the game and I restrict them to this area, even though that area is there, they walk around in there, but they don't do the job. They do bleed all over the place, but I guess I can't blame them for that. I can. Of course I can. Right. Let's make sure we've built this. All right. Then let's make it auto load into this save game. And restart again. So this is probably going to break some other shit, but at least we can ascertain whether or not the problem is in here. So they might now, now try to do some jobs in areas which they cannot actually reach. But I don't think there is any of those. So let's see what happens. I wonder if they still wander in here. Yeah, they do. And they still don't really do the job. I mean, he sporadically does it, but that's still like the random, I feel like doing this now, so fuck you kind of thing, and not the, you've told me to do this, so I will now do all of this. Unless I bleed to death first. Alright, so I'm on the wrong path here. This is apparently not doing anything. I mean, it can't be this. It can't be these methods, because these are like the vanilla methods. Wait, what is happening here? It's not prioritized. Right. Or it's the same priority and it's a better distance, okay. So what's happening is that they're just doing the priorities regardless if they have stuff to do. Since I came in late, that's not the issue. I have other stuff to do. Well, the problem is that they don't do jobs anymore when they're restricted to an area. Any jobs. Like they do some stuff when they feel like it. So let's say we generate a normal sized map. We'll build a test colony on here. Right. We can. Now nobody's restricted to an area, so now we can prioritize, like, okay, I want you guys to haul from there first. Well, let's make it a little bit less. This is absolute low priority. That is high priority. This is like second highest priority, whatever. They will now haul from the high priority first. So from that one and then that one. They will also apparently have errors. Do build target till the ability. Yeah, okay, that's not my problem. Not sure what they're doing. I guess they're just getting ingredients for jobs and stuff, which is fine. They're not actually getting to the hauling yet. They do have, like, are these all growing zones? Oh, I thought that was a... Never mind. Stockpile zone. Create a giant one there. Don't really care where you do it. Whatever. And... oh my gosh. Way too many people. Let's say we just increase hauling for everybody. Just to make sure that gets done first. So, okay. This is what we expected to see. They do everything there first. Then they'll do everything here. Then they would do any random hauling around the place. And then they will do whatever is in this low priority hauling. Yeah? That's what we expect to see. What happens when we start restricting people, so even if we restrict them to the home area, which covers everything, so this shouldn't stop them doing jobs, but now suddenly they're like, yeah, fuck you, we aren't doing jobs anymore. Well, they're not doing hauling anymore. Like, they're doing a little bit of hauling, but it's like very sporadic and only when they feel like it. But they do seem to be doing other jobs. Like Larson and Rojas there are doing growing. No, but it's specifically a problem with hauling, because if it was just a normal work routine, they would still haul, because that is top priority. They just wouldn't care about which area it was in or something. And, I mean, this person is now hauling like jack shit, but he's the only one. Are you not restricted or something? Yeah, you're not restricted probably, right? Yeah, you're Lumi. You're not restricted. I restrict him, and suddenly he's like, fuck you, I do what I want. If I unrestrict them, everybody starts hauling. Alright. Let's see if this is really just hauling. What happens if I tell people to grow with max priority? We'll give them couple of new growing zones. We'll create some priority zones in there to make this more obvious. People are still restricted? No. Let's restrict them again to the home area. That still covers everything. Yeah, agreed? Entirely covered. Will they now start growing there? Yes. En masse. And then everywhere else. I guess nobody has skill for this or something? Is that why they're not doing it? Yeah, so now they're all coming in to do it. All right, so the problem really appears to be just hauling. This is so weird. Yeah. It's going to be something similar to the... Oh gosh, I had a similar problem with, well, I don't know if it's similar, but I had a stupid problem with the planting or the growing work giver, in that it kept a static variable on the work giver class that determined, like, any jobs that it gave away, which plant dev they would be on. Which is like, that works as long as they stay synchronized. But I don't keep them synchronized because I get a batch of jobs and then I try to parse them. So the link there wasn't there anymore. So that's why I have to do like this setting value to null so that it recalculates it every single time. That's like this entire fixed work giver thing. I'm pretty confident that something similarly silly is going on for hauling. So this is work giver haul. And that's using, well, lister haulables and everything, that's fine. That's just a static list of everything that needs hauling. I don't think I need to do anything there. This is what is happening. The random hauling interval makes me think of hauling animals. Yeah. Yeah. It does, kind of. It's just that there's no... I see no way how that could possibly, like, got conflated or something. But yeah, you're right. It does kind of feel like it. What I think is happening is this: occasionally it turns out that the last job they considered in a batch is actually also the job that has like the static variable thing. But we'll need to go through it quickly to see what is going on here. So that's a storage priority of thing, fine. Well, let's look at this whole AI utility already. Does this have like any local values that are static? So things like this, candidates, burning lower trans, these are private statics. Okay, so these are just translations, but this could be troublesome. Anyway, what was it called? Hold the storage job. So it's getting a stores there, a cell to store things in, a destination to store. Need accurate result. Sure, whatever. Right. That should be going fine. I don't think this is the problem. And then it's sub. Well, let's have a look at the storage utility. What is this trying to do? This is just a bunch of functions, so it doesn't actually have any local values. That's a good sign, which means that it probably doesn't have any local state that could get like out of sync with our batches. But let's just quickly go through it anyway. So it's getting a storage priority. So it's reference by storage so for. Why is this called invalid? Yay! People are whispering me and also putting it in chat. Awesome. Lovely. How do I block them again? Ban user. There we go. This off. And we'll ban you as well. Goodbye. Right. I don't think the banning actually makes any sense because they'll just come back with a different username, whatever. But for now, makes me feel better about it. Okay, so it's calling this invalid because this is a compilation or decompilation artifact because it initially gets assigned this invalid property, but that's just the starting value. And then there's a series of things where it's trying to say like, okay, find me a destination where I can do this. And the whole destination is just, yeah, so that's just a storage zone or like a shelf or whatever. They implement that interface. Yeah, it's getting the priority for it, sure, whatever. If you can't, like this is the out variable, so if it can find it, then it gets sets out, otherwise it gets set to null, sure. Yeah, so if the current priority is that it's not stored and we don't have a destination to store it, then return false. If there is a destination, yeah. Yeah, so if there's like a better non-slot group storage, whatever, that has a higher priority than any of the best, better store cell that we could find. No idea what that specifically mentions. I wouldn't dream of banning UX. Yeah, so if it's got a higher priority or the best priority is not to store it, so it's where we started off with, then we send it to this one, the non-slot group storage. Interesting. I keep getting fucked up by this being called invalid, but that is just like Otherwise, it found something in here, and then we can do it there. Because if it didn't find something, it would return false here. Oh, this is the problem with decompiled code. It ceases being logical at some point. So, I don't think any of this is going to be the problem. This all seems to be one-shot functions. I don't think this has local state that can be fucking us up. So it's probably in here, and I'm suspecting it's this list of candidates that is the problem. But I haven't found out where it's actually being called. So let's start from there. Let's see what is actually using that. Yeah, so try find spot to place holdable close to. And where is that being used? You can haul aside, and that is used in haul aside job 4, which is used in... Oh. None of what we're looking at. Damn! I was sure I was onto something here. Where is that even using candidates? I'm still not seeing it. Oh, it's not. It's just in here. And that is only used by that function, which is only used by that function, which is used by a bunch of things. But these are all... It could be that one, but... Yeah, this is probably not it either. Bugger. Go through all of this stuff. Working for whole. Do you have any local state? No, you don't. Do you have derived types? You have whole general. And whole general. Do you have anything local? No, you do not. And that's just saying if it's a corpse. Goodie. So we're still looking at this one. This is so super simple. So this really shouldn't be the problem. Yeah, this is really not it. That has nothing to do with areas. So then it would be this one. Yeah, good question. Um, Insecticide? No, I have no idea. You could try to riff off maybe that. Like some people are saying that insect meat is going to be like the meat of the future, or insect protein, because it's going to be too expensive and resource intensive to do like cattle rearing. So beef, chicken, pork is all going to be unsustainable on like the long term level, at least in the way we consume it now, probably. Um, and proteins are apparently easier to make, so you could do something with that, maybe. I don't know. I'm terrible at coming up with names. I mean, have you seen my mod? Not exactly the most creative names. What was I doing? I was looking at, is this one going to be a problem? I don't think so. Hold the cell storage job. Is this that one? Hold estimation manager. This is fun to sell already, so that doesn't matter. The sub isn't no. Yeah, okay. It's a stack size you can possibly carry. None of this should be a problem. Oh. Is now an inner interactable thing owner. Wow, that's a terrible name. Hold to container job. Yeah. Just call it a container then. To handle hold the storage job for storage. Yeah. Okay. Not terribly interesting. No, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. So it happens only on hauling and only when areas are assigned. So it should be a combination of those things. I'm not even seeing anything specifically mentioning areas in this thing, so anything like that. I mean, to be honest, if it was like a synchronization thing with local state and everything, you would also expect it to fail when the when we don't use areas, when we don't restrict them to areas. So I don't understand why it cares whether or not the area restriction is no or not. The only place I can see that mattering at all is in this can reach stuff. So maybe I should have a look at that again. So this is checking for pawn is pawned, then this can reach thing again, or another overload of it, whatever. So this does have state itself. This is Roslyn. He's our second beautiful kid. Because it can be working. I'm not really sure what that means, but I guess this is like at some point there's probably some kind of A star algorithm beneath this, or Dijkstra, or I have no idea what RimWorld actually uses. There's a really interesting video actually where Tynan explains the pathfinding in RimWorld, which is really, yeah, it's interesting. It's on YouTube somewhere, you can probably find it. But it's been a while, so I don't actually remember it. Okay, we have reach immediate. What is that? Yeah, so if the target of what you're trying to reach is actually in your apparel or your equipment or your container or whatever, then yes, you can reach that. That's what it's doing there. Or if we're already on the target cell, then also, or if we're inside of the target thing, so that's probably just a... Oh wow. Yeah, okay. So that's not gonna trigger. Not for this hauling stuff anyway. Then we're looking at whether or not it's valid, the destination, and that means that, right, so it either has a thing or a cell assigned to it, right? That would be the case. That's not going to trigger. If it's not on this map, that shouldn't be triggering. If it's inbound, that's not going to trigger. Path and mode. Oof. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be related. Maybe I should check, but it seems unlikely. This is for raiders. So they can bash doors and stuff, or they can pass doors even. They don't. They're ghosts apparently. Maybe it's not for raiders. Raiders have a can bash toggle. Maybe that's something separate. Either way, that's probably not it either, because we don't have this path mode. Okay. Resolve path mode. The hell is that even doing? So this is path end mode is getting set in here. It's can be changed at least because it's revved. But it also returns a target info at the same time. So it's returning the destination again, but it's not actually changing the destination anywhere. So I'm not... Ah, yeah, it could return something else here. Okay. All right, so basically what it's doing is looking at which path end mode you have and then altering your destination cell based on that. So if you have a target of a thing and you're looking at the path end mode interaction cell for that thing, then this is actually going to change it to the target being the cell of the interaction cell and change the path end mode to be on that cell. Again, not what we're actually looking for. All right, this is where we get funny. This is where it's actually going to do its pathfinding algorithm. I'm not seeing why this would be any different. All right. No, I think I need to add some logging to it and just go see what happens and why it's failing. Maybe I can deduce at which point it's actually failing, so I have a better idea what I need to be looking at. Maybe it's just making tiny batches or something. I have no idea. Maybe it's not even just batching anymore properly. There's a bunch of things that could be wrong here. I just don't know. I don't see why it would be in here. Because this, like I said, it doesn't look like this has state, or at least important state for us. And even if it did, then there would be no real reason why that would work when bonds are not restricted, and it wouldn't work when they are restricted. I just don't see how that is a, like, why. I'm not seeing it. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop the stream here. I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle with this for a couple of hours. We made some progress. We figured out which mods are using the same methods. We figured out how we can probably proceed with fixing those incompatibilities, or at least warning people that those incompatibilities exist. Most of these fixes should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to ask the mod authors like how they think I should go about fixing that, and then I will try. I'll probably try to implement most of these as a patch, or as a pull request on these other mods, unless it makes more sense for me to do it instead, like in my mod. But yeah, we'll have to see. So I'm gonna do that off screen, and then next time is probably going to be next week Tuesday. I don't know, maybe in the weekend a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing in the weekend yet. And then I'll report on the progress, I guess. So thank you very much, and have a good evening. It's been fun. Thank you. Bye bye.